What's up, farming family? How y'all doing today? I hope y'all had a good New Year's and a good Christmas with y'all's family. Today, we're going to be talking about the Aiso Ryu 15 millimeter. Okay, this is a Gen 3 style paddle. The difference is the foam only goes from the bottom of the handle up to about a quarter to a halfway up the paddle face. It doesn't go all the way around the extra layer of foam. It still has that, perimeter foaming that the Gen 2s have as well. It's thermoformed as well. It's also 15 millimeters. It's got 4 layers. It's got the top layer of polyester, which is labeled titanium. Either way, doesn't matter as long as the paddle plays good. That's literally all that matters. The second and third layer are going to be your raw carbon fiber, and in the very bottom layer is going to be fiberglass. All right, when I get to the very end of this, that's like the biggest selling point of this whole paddle. But yeah, I got a discount code for them. You'll get 10% off. It's Farmer Lanky 10. I will get a kickback from that. Thought I should let you know. But yeah, let's get into this really good playing paddle, y'all. Like really good playing paddle. First thing I want to talk about would be the power of this paddle, right? So when it comes to the power of this paddle, this isn't going to be like your other Gen 3 paddles where it's like the Ripple R2 and it's just launching the ball, or like the mods. It's not going to be anything like that. And it's not anything like, Gen 1. Well, it's clearly not anything like Gen 1's. This is definitely a big step up from that. But what you would compare it to would be like, okay, is it closer to other Gen 2 construction paddles, or would it be closer to the Paddle Techs? And this is where I'm going to tell you it is like directly in the middle of some of the more powerful wide body paddles in the market that are Gen 2. And then it's nowhere near as powerful as any of the ESQs that are, Paddle Techs. So if I was to say the 14 millimeter of the Paddle Techs are a little more powerful than this, I would say this is a little more powerful than the Rhombus R2 FX and the All-Court Monarch from 11624 and other paddles of similar nature. This is literally fitting right in between all of them in terms of power. Now, if I'm talking about pop, I would say the pop is pretty much categorized the same way. This does have a stiffer face than basically every Gen 2 that I've played with when it comes to wide bodies. I don't think the pop has as much as the ESQs do, but it definitely does have a stiffer face than some of the other titanium paddles that I've played with, like a significantly stiffer face. So if you're someone that doesn't really like crazy stiff faces, then I would probably stay clear of this. But this is definitely one of the stiffer face paddles that I felt of, in terms of wide body paddles. So you heard where it stood in terms of pop and in terms of power. Now, in terms of control, I'm going to say it's literally the same, in the same place. It's more controllable than the ESQ series from PaddleTech, but it's going to be less controllable than majority of the Gen 2 paddles that are, wide body that are currently on the market, or basically all of them. So this is like right in between them. If you're someone that's struggling with other Gen 2 paddles and controlling them, this won't be a paddle for you. But if you're wanting like a little step up in terms of pop and power, and you're willing to give up a little bit of control, this one will be, controllable for you in the long term if, you commit to using it and play with it. It being a 15 millimeter is definitely going to make it a tad bit poppier and less controllable than some of the 16s that are currently on the market, but it's not going to be anything crazy that you're going to be like stressing about. When it came to the spin, this one got really, really good spin numbers. 2,114 RPMs. This is way up there in terms of RPMs compared to the other paddles that I've reviewed. But what I will tell you is you're not going to be feeling a crazy drastic difference, or even a difference at all, really, if you're playing the difference between this and a 2,000 RPM paddle or a 1950 RPM paddle. We're only getting these amounts of RPMs because we're literally hitting it as hard as we can, trying to apply as much top spin as we can for these RPM tests. When I played with it compared to others, I had 1950, 2000 RPM. I wasn't noticing any difference in between, my spin, my drops, or anything like that. Like everything felt very similarly, but statistically speaking, this is higher than a lot of the other paddles on the market. So when it came to the swing weight of this paddle, it was 111. That is in the higher end in terms of wide bodies, but it's for good reason. They have perimeter weighting along the edges of this paddle in, specific areas, and that's going to obviously affect the swing weight some, but it also bumps up the twist weight and other numbers as well. So it is in the higher end in terms of wide bodies. So if you're already really, really, really like perfectly in line with what you're playing with as a wide body, and you're like, man, I can't go up 2 or 3 points or 4 points because my arm just isn't going to take it, then you're not going to be able to switch to this paddle. But I feel like most people that are using wide bodies could probably use this paddle and it not cause, any problem at all whatsoever. But yeah, in terms of weight, it was 8.3 ounces right out of the box with nothing applied. I would add an overgrip to it. I always add overgrips to my paddles. My hands are too big. My fingers like overlap if I don't. So yeah, had to add an overgrip. When it came to the twist weight of mine was 7.58. That is in the top 3 in terms of twist weight for wide body paddles and just any paddle in general, I guess, because there's no other shape that's getting better twist weights than wide bodies and standard shapes. But yeah, not gonna twist in your hand, a super, super good twist weight, and the sweet spot kind of reflected that. Usually with these wide bodies, you're getting these massive sweet spots, and this is no exception. You're getting a sweet spot for a paddle. Clearly, you hit it right next to the edges. It's going to be very jarring. It's not going to come off the paddle right. But if you hit it anywhere remotely close to the center, there's going to be enough force off the paddle face that the ball's getting back over the net. So, this is the big selling point of this paddle, right? You're getting Gen 3 construction ish with extra weighting, in the perimeter. You're getting the polyester slash titanium face. You're also getting the fiberglass as the bottom layer to help with the extra pop. And what does that run you up to? $99.99. Okay, this company has been doing things right ever since I reacted. I'm going back to my old YouTube channel. Ever since I reviewed the Centric back when they first came out with it, that paddle was at $100. This company knows how to put, prices at a budgetable value. That way everybody can get into pickleball and get a good value paddle for super cheap. This is easily going to be one of the most recommendable paddles for me because of the price alone. A lot of people I know don't have the money to go out and be like, here's $300 on a paddle. But if I'm like, hey, here's, a decently poppy paddle with really good spin, really high twist weight, for $89 with my discount code, they're going to be more likely to be like, oh, yeah, I can get that. Because a lot of these paddles are going to be out of the reach for some people. But yeah, this is a top notch paddle with a top notch dollar value. Like the playability to dollar value on this is just stupid ridiculous. Like this is such a good paddle for the price. ISO, you knew what you were doing. Keep it up. But yeah, until next time, stay safe. Have a good day. Drink plenty of water. Peace, y'all.